Good evening. I am the Maven of the Eventide. Welcome back to Vampire Playthroughs. Tonight with me is...
What do you say tonight? Like it's ever varied. Tonight with me, a complete stranger. Yes, we're out of lockdown. We have strangers over.
It's not true. Lockdown will never end.
It will. I see the light of the tunnel. I'm feeling optimisticer.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Paul.
And we are playing Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York on Vampire Playthroughs.
What are you stalling for? Do you not want to play?
No, I want to play. However, our game updated it, didn't it?
It didn't. It did. Yeah, I had to wait for like a good solid 2 minutes before I could start up Coteries.
Yeah. And now we have this sexy little advertisement down in the bottom corner of our screen.
I think there's a few more things in the settings. Like you can have the choices appear in the middle, whatever. I'm not sure what that would look like, but you can.
So there's new settings in here?
Mm-hmm. I think just
Text
dialogue
size.
options in the middle was the only thing new that I saw. Unless you want to check in video and stuff, maybe there's new stuff. Oh, you can turn dynamic backgrounds off? Why would you do so?
Maybe if your computer was too slow at processing things. Well, yeah, that sure is fascinating. But this advertisement for Shadows of New York, which is kind of like a sequel sort of to this game, or just like a part 2 of this game, different story, different people, has reminded me of the news that came out today about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
I know it.
Which is that it's postponed again.
Yeah.
But likely, probably canceled.
No.
Is what they're saying on the streets, the internet streets. Yeah, they.
Never been out on the streets.
I know. Huh, you think role-playing computer gamers go out on the streets?
Those roving gangs of RPGers.
Anyway, due to the drama, apparently.
Now, what is the drama?
In the production.
All I know is that they fired the people that are doing it now.
And they're hoping someone else is going to take it over, but that's probably not going to happen. And
My question was valid.
I don't know all the details. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Google it. You can Google that. But it's probably not going to happen now. Nobody is optimistic. Everyone is sort of just giving up.
Optimistic. I can't even say the word that you said. I love it so much. It's kind of like Trisket, but optimistic Trisket. That's my new screen name, by the way.
It's your high school garage band. So last we left off with Gwen True the Ventru. She was building her coterie, and we met some new friends, and we did some mystery solving, and now I think we're just gonna keep on doing that. What?
That's the most vague recap ever. So last time we did some things, we met some folks, and we're just gonna keep on doing that. I love you.
You could supply some details. You could be the color commentary here.
Pookie, I don't remember what I did this morning. You think I remember what's going on in this game?
Don't you go back and rewatch our videos and read all the comments?
No. I read the comments sometimes.
I always read the comments. I read every single comment.
But that's what you do for like half of your living. Why would you read other... Well, at least these ones are like probably a lot nicer.
Oh yeah, my comments are great. Everyone who comments on my videos are awesome.
You guys are great.
You are. As you wake from your slumber and emerge from your haven for the night, you notice a familiar face on the other side of the street, standing on the corner and looking straight at you. It's Kaiser's lackey, whom you met recently, Jackie. Jackie the lackey.
Lackey Jackie.
He nods to you, encouraging you to approach.
Is this the one we met out in front of the cathedral?
No, I think Kaiser was the creepy nosferatu in the limo, and this was his lackey.
Okay, maybe I'll recognize his face.
You remember the creepy nosferatu in the limo, right?
The rich guy with all the screens?
Yeah.
Oh, the guy we met at that Carnival Coney Island place.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If that's not Kaiser, call me wrong. His hands are outside his pockets, and he seems pretty relaxed. He's keeping his eyes on the street, though, as if making sure you're alone. He smiles awkwardly when you approach.
Evening. Got something for you from our mutual friend.
He produces a crumpled piece of paper from his jacket pocket and hands it to you.
Read it, memorize it, and give it back here.
It's a letter. The paper might just be a page ripped out of a spiral notebook, but the writing on it is exquisitely detailed and deliberate. It reads,
Time to square your debt with me. Go to the wine shop at 232 Mulberry Street and ask for the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negramaro. When they tell you that they don't have it, say you are Fidelis Salvatore della Familia G. Those exact fucking words. Make sure you get the G right.
I'm guessing Familia G is Giovanni?
I guess so.
This is like a faithful servant of the family G, right? That's what that means?
Uh-huh.
If I remember my college Italian.
Yes.
And the Giovanni are like a clan of vampires, right? And they're an Italian mafioso family. However, from what I understood, they are no more. And they should be like...
They're underground.
No, they like got eradicated?
Maybe. Maybe that's what they want you to think.
But I don't know where this fits in the continuity with that, or I may be mistaken because all of my knowledge of lore sort of ended about 10 years ago, and I only know what I hear now.
Did he really have to write the word fucking in this like wonderful script of his? I really want to see that.
I bet it looks gorgeous.
This calligraphic fuck.
You get a bottle, just take it, and leave by saying grazie. Don't ask how much it is or anything else. Just walk out. When you have it, come back to Jackie Boy here and let him know.
Why can't Jackie do this?
You done? Memorize that shit and hand it over.
Your boss was a letter guy. Now, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, how come this isn't on a flash drive? Why isn't it a hologram?
Exactly.
that's okay.
Audiogram.
Didn't peg your boss for a letter kind of guy. Isn't electronic communication his whole shtick?
Yeah, well, some things are better done the old-fashioned way. You about done with the letter?
You note the phrases and address mentioned in the letter, then hand it back to Jackie. He immediately reaches for a lighter and burns the letter, putting the ashes with his boot.
So, yeah. When you do what the boss asks, come back here and I can tell you where to go next. I'll be in that alley over there, so find me when you have the item, whatever it is, I don't know. And the boss made it extra clear that I shouldn't care. So I don't. See ya.
He shuffles away and leaves you to pursue the lead from the letter. Time to pay a visit to Nolita. Nolita means north of Little Italy. I would have assumed you were going to Little Italy because of the whole Italian thing.
That would be too easy.
But Nolita is kind of like the new Soho. Like, it's basically Soho.
Is it?
You remember where Rice to Riches is?
Mm-hmm.
That's Nolita.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, I like it there.
Yeah, it's real nice. It's sort of like closer to Chinatown.
Wait, isn't that basically is Soho, isn't it?
I mean, Soho's on the left, Nolita's on the right.
Oh, okay. I know they're right
Yeah.
next to each other.
Yeah.
Got it.
You arrive at the address mentioned in the note. Not counting local restaurant patrons, the street is mostly empty at this time of night. But curiously, the wine shop is still open. It's because people drink at night, Gwen. Inside, a small middle-aged woman with curly hair stands behind the counter in front of a wall filled with wine bottles. There's a door at the back of the room with a small table and chair, occupied by a man in a black faux leather jacket with slick, combed-back hair. Oh, he sounds like a mafioso. He's reading a newspaper, but pauses as a little bell rings when you open the door. He takes a sip from a small, steaming cup, then gets back to his broadsheet. Oh, he's drinking espresso like a true Italian.
But in the night?
Yes, Italians drink espresso at night. They're not pansies.
That's a terrible idea.
That's a middle-aged woman? She's so sexy. Good evening. How may I help you? I'm gonna follow the instructions, yeah. I would like a bottle of the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negramaro, please. Let me check our stock. Oh, should I make her Italian? Maybe she should be Italian.
Well, I mean, don't have to be too on the nose.
I guess we're in Nolita, not Little Italy, so. She seems to be looking through a database on her laptop sitting on the counter. She puts on a polite smile. I'm afraid we don't have that one at the moment.
Wow.
To Mario.
That's a little right on the Italian nose.
Alright, stop. I'm afraid we don't have that one at the moment. Sorry. I'm gonna casually recite the phrase because I'm good at this.
Yeah, blending in.
I'm sure you'll find a bottle for Fedele Servitore della Famiglia G, right? She raises an eyebrow. Let me see if we have any in the back. The woman leaves the counter and goes through the doors in the back. The man by the table puts down his newspaper and takes another sip from the cup. We call that a demi-tasse cup.
Mm-hmm.
Washing it down with a gulp of water from the nearby glass. He tries to hide it, but there's no doubt he's watching you. About a minute passes. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. You remind yourself of what Kaiser wrote in the letter and keep quiet, patiently waiting for the woman to return from the back of the store. The man finishes his drink and starts doodling on the newspaper, his eyes darting to you every so often. The doors to the back of the store open, and the proprietor emerges with a small, unlabeled, squat bottle of crimson liquid. She gives you an apologetic smile. Excuse me, sorry for taking so long. Turns out we did have it.
A different person come out the front?
Let me try that again. I'm not very good at voices.
Well, I mean, now she is saying scusi, so you know that she's a little bit more
Yeah,
Italian.
I guess she is Italian.
Than
so.
she originally let on.
Excuse me, sorry for taking so long.
Well, now that she knows that we are Familia G, maybe now she's
it
like...
turns out that we did have it.
Oh, you're Italian too? Oh, good, I can use my real accent.
More, why you stop talking in your accent?
Mamma mia.
Excuse me, sorry for taking so long. Turns out we did have it. She offers you the bottle, and you reach out to grab it, but she retracts it. You do know what this is, don't you? I'll play the game.
My gut says presents. But it's your
But I want her to tell me what it is. I'm curious.
We're not. No, I think this is a test. We're not supposed to ask questions.
Oh, we're not.
That's the whole mafia thing. It's like you don't ask questions.
But I didn't ask the question. She did.
Right. Maybe you're being tested.
Fine. Play it the straight edge way. Gwen's a straight edge. It's true. You focus your blood and immediately see both of the people in the shop focus intently in on you and what you're about to say. I know exactly what this is, and I'm the right person to give it to. The woman gives you the bottle without hesitation. Grazie. Deciding you've pushed your luck far enough, you nod and exit the store. Oh, have I pushed my luck? I did everything I was supposed to.
That seemed fine to me.
Then take a brisk walk to your car. Nobody follows you as you leave Nolita and drive back to your apartment.
I thought you were supposed to go back to the... Well, I guess
Yeah,
the
he was
alley
right
by
outside my
your
apartment. But see, that was boring. Nothing happened. I bet if I did other things, stuff would have happened.
Probably not. This
And
is
then we could
Coteries.
have done stuff.
No, it's like all that's going to happen is like in 20 minutes somebody will say, well, you did this, that was okay, but then you did this, and that wasn't great. But then the outcome will be exactly the same. So it kind of gives you that illusion that your choices make any goddamn difference.
It takes you some time to find a parking spot. I mean, I live in Times Square, so not surprising. But you finally get out of the car and start looking for Jackie. He's not far from where you parted ways just under 2 hours ago.
Got the goods? Final question.
I sure do.
Cool. Stand by. Gotta make a call.
He takes a few more steps into the narrow space between two buildings and takes out the same high-tech phone you saw him carrying last time. Why is his phone so high-tech?
Because he's a techie guy.
Like, how does a phone get more high-tech than a regular phone?
Oh, maybe it's got extra buttons. Maybe it's like that phone in the Matrix, you know? Flips open. Hey, boss. Yeah, they have it. What do I put them to?
I love that I'm a
Okay.
them now.
Yeah.
I'm like the non-binary queen.
I'll tell them to go there right away.
They just couldn't put in a he or a she. He puts the phone back in his pocket and turns back to you.
Willets Point, half an hour, so you better step on it. See you around.
I just found a parking space. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, you took a taxi.
No, it was my car that I'm driving.
Who owns a car in Manhattan? That's a terrible idea.
I do, remember?
That's a terrible idea.
And I probably spent more than half an hour finding that fucking parking spot.
This is why you just don't make dinner reservations in New York if you have
No, you don't. With only a flippant salute, Jackie starts walking down the street. You make your way back to your car and drive.
You just parked in the alley.
You had to push the speed limit to make it on time, but you're here. Willets Point is quite a change of scenery. The place is post-industrial dump, the nearby stadium notwithstanding. You stop your car once you realize that if you go any further down, the potholes will kill your chassis. You step out onto one of these gashes in the asphalt, splashing in ankle-deep water. Gross. Kaiser's limo is nowhere to be seen. In fact, the whole place is pretty much deserted other than the apartment In fact, the whole place is pretty much deserted other than the apparent proprietor of a lonely bar, a middle-aged woman who's just locking the place up. What's with all these middle-aged women proprietors?
Yeah, it's New York,
Everyone's middle-aged?
I guess so. All the young people have fled.
Where's all the olds?
Dead. Oh, God.
I'm not hungry. I don't need to eat. I can look around. You take a walk around the neighborhood. It mostly consists of run-down shops and garages with more than a few derelict cars left here over the years to rust. You imagine it must be a great place for one of the sewer rats to hide out in. Sewer rats are nosferatus.
Oh, gotcha.
So you're on your guard the whole time, but as far as you can tell, you're the only kindred here. It's only when you hear a car stopping nearby and see that it's apparently Kaiser's black limo that you relax a bit and approach. Same as last time, the car doors open, but nobody comes out. You know the drill. This time, Kaiser is visible when you look inside. You sit down and close the door behind you.
So, you pulled it off without a hitch then. Give it here.
You hand the bottle over to the nosferatu. He uncorks it gently, takes a whiff, and puts the cork back in.
Yeah, that's the stuff. Good job, kid. Consider your debt paid. Oh yeah, and also, take this. It's what Langley wanted.
Why is that an also? Isn't that what the debt is for? I didn't owe him a debt for anything else. I was just trying to get what Langley wanted.
I don't know. Maybe you had to pay your debt before, before he was able to give it to you.
He passes you an envelope with what feels like a thick card inside.
How much do you want to push it? How far can he throw you?
I wanted to ask him what was in the bottle.
You're
I don't get to ask him what's in the bottle?
I'm supposed to ask.
I want to know.
It could just be super expensive fancy wine.
You mean blood?
Or blood, yes.
Yeah.
One of the
Fancy
two.
blood. Is it Elder Vitae?
Ooh.
Oh, I should have drank it.
Then we wouldn't. No. The game would probably not even give you the option to do so.
I can't bring myself to say thank you, Mr. Kaiser.
Then do like the middle option, then.
Now we're even.
Sure, fledgling, if that's the way you see it. I'll send Jackie over if I ever need anything else from you. How about that? Time for you to get out. Now.
He waves you out of the car. With the envelope in hand, you get out, back into the torn asphalt and decrepit surroundings. The limo slowly drives away. I wonder who's driving his limo.
He's got a person. Or maybe it's autonomous.
This isn't cyberpunk. Finally, you can return to Sophie and bring her what she wanted. Gregory lets you in. You hear a shrill, unpleasant laugh, and you realize Sophie's having a guest over. Give us a shrill, unpleasant laugh. That was great.
Thank you.
He's the man from Elysium, the one with the glasses and a good taste in suits. You didn't have the chance to talk to him last you saw him. Hey, it remembered, but there's like a typo in it. There's no space between having the...
Oh.
Ah, Gwen. So glad to see you. Tell me, did the two of you previously meet? The man doesn't wait for an answer. He approaches you with an energetic, almost dance-like step and puts out his hand.
Thomas Arturo, I've heard about you. Pleasure.
Thomas is a great source of gossip and an excellent conversationalist.
I also have the prince's ear, which is a primary reason Miss Langley wished to speak with me tonight. Good gossip, coming even from me, and isn't nearly as valued. Sad.
The way he said sad makes me think he should sound like Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know. I have the best gossip. I have an ear.
With the prince.
Prince's ear. It's great. It's fantastic. People say it's the best ear I've ever seen.
You do a good Trump, Paul. That's a skill to put on your resume.
Oh, no, thank you. I would rather die than write that down anywhere.
Do a good Trump.
Never say it again.
Sophie is taken aback by the man's direct comment, but smiles politely.
People say I'm the best Trump.
He's doing the hands. You can't see it, but he's doing the hands. The awkward atmosphere is broken again by the guest's grating laugh.
I kid, of course, I kid. Well, I was about to leave anyway, so I'll leave you two to it. Good night, Sophie. Gwen, Greggy boy.
Sophie's driver opens the door for Arturo, and the guest steps out with a single wave of his hand towards his host and you. The doors close. I think he's...
Oh. You're Gwen.
So, what's his deal? Same as everyone's. Position, power, influence. Thomas has clout in court and access to many juicy details on everyone from the prince to the lowest primogen. It's useful to have him on your side, even if his eccentricity requires some patience. Speaking of patience, you have been putting mine to the test lately. Did you manage to contact Kaiser and acquire what I asked for?
Gosh. Every word had a quotation mark around it.
I can't stop thinking of it. Why do you do this to me?
It's my job. It's what I do. Imagine how dry this would be without it.
Yes, I have it, but the data you offered was old news to him. I had to do another job for him before he would give me this card. She retrieves the envelope from you. I'm sure he did. I hope it wasn't too much of an inconvenience. I'm sure he did what?
Made you do another errand.
I didn't say he had me do a job. I said I had to do.
Right.
It's grammatically incorrect.
That's...
He made me go to an entirely separate escapade to retrieve a bottle of wine from a store in Nolita. I had to use code phrases and whatnot. Wine shop. Code phrases? That degenerate pest! She's visibly agitated, but calms down and smiles at you. Don't worry about it. I'll make sure that whatever Kaiser had you do, it'll blow over. She opens the envelope and looks at the card. You notice the same lettering you saw on Kaiser's note from before, but can't see the details. Her eyes widen. Yes. Excellent. I need to call in some favors. I will likely be very busy for the next few nights. You have my permission to show some initiative, my dear charge. I will contact you Sue. With that, Sophie ushers you outside and you're left to do with the rest of this night's hours as you like.
And
I
that
guess
means, go visiting.
go perform my coterie. Oh, we can go back to the weird churchy guy.
It looks like he's grayed out. Is that selectable? Can you
think
click
so.
on it? Oh, so you can. Somebody's watching me. Well, do we want to continue coterieing, or do we
Well,
want
we definitely need to go back to Tamika, but I am very curious about this, so let's do this first.
Okay.
Recently, you're feeling as if somebody keeps tailing you. Time to confirm your suspicions.
I ain't got no privacy.
Someone is following you around. Has been for a few nights, maybe longer. That can't be a good thing. The only question is what to do about it. You venture out to the street with the goal of letting your stalker know you're aware of being followed. It's time to stop this ridiculous charade. Now, I don't really remember being stalked.
I think you just have a feeling that you are. So.
I feel like we missed something. I thought this was the same guy that was at the church that was telling me, like, faith is real, but I think it's not.
Well, look, it's part of that same quest line thing.
I don't think so.
Oh.
It's raining outside as you step into the street in front of your haven. You wonder whether that'll help you. Will you be able to see the footprints of your stalker in puddles on the ground? Not sure where to start. You slip a few bills to a homeless man and chat up the guy who runs the local bodega. Both of them talk your ear off about strange characters hanging around, but none of their stories seem right to you, even considering the fact that I am a vampire.
Well.
I wonder. Walking the streets, you're convinced by turns that everyone you see is an enemy agent out to get you, and that your stalker has decided to take the night off. Frustrated after a couple hours of useless searching, you cross the road without looking where you're going. A courier on a motorbike zooms towards you and has no time to brake or swerve as you suddenly step out in front of him. It's not very vampire-y of me. For a split second, your eyes meet those of the man on the bike, and you both know you'll collide. You'll get hurt. Something hits you, pushing you forward. You tumble, flying to the sidewalk as the courier zooms past. You feel the weight on your back, catch a glimpse of something, a person, female, you think, and then she disappears. You could spend a couple more hours trying to find the woman who's been stalking you, but in your shriveled undead heart, you know it to be futile. She's gone. Huh. That was fascinating. However, I still feel like I'm missing something.
Well, it's sunrise now, so we should rest.
Yeah. But I really feel like that was the second half of something we didn't get the full first half of.
No, it makes sense to me.
I feel like the stalker should have been more of a present thing, though. Like
It will be. I think it's planting seeds. Planting seeds.
Now, this felt like something was growing from a seed that didn't get planted. Anyway, we're gonna rest.
Yes. Oh, who's that guy?
New quests!
Oh, wait, no, that's the guy in the cathedral.
Yeah, see, this is what I was thinking about.
Who's the chubby guy? Who's the reporter? Interesting.
Sophie hasn't told us about this problem before. I feel like we need to see Sophie first before we can actually deal with this problem.
Well, maybe you're taking initiative.
No, I want to do things in the proper order. I don't like skipping things.
No worries.
But I am going to go back to this church guy, because that's what I originally wanted to do anyway. Faith and Myth, Part 2. Benoit Seagal wants to meet you again at the cathedral. You wonder whether that mysterious priest will be there. Was the priest really mysterious, or was he just a priest that was, like, legit?
I don't know.
You've started to look at churches differently since your last encounter with Benoit. You're not sure what happened inside, but it was unavoidably real. You felt it. When Benoit mentioned that being in the presence of Father Anthony's faith would eventually kill someone like you, an undead being, you believed him. Doesn't seem to be very common, though. In New York, you pass thousands of people every night, and none of them have made you feel so afraid and insignificant. If you were to encounter someone like Father Anthony in the subway or nightclub, you would know. Not that I ever take the subway or go to nightclubs. Since I have a car, there are many churches in the 5 boroughs, and you're pretty sure most of them don't contain someone whose faith can touch you in this way. Yet you've become wary. They just might. Still, tonight the cathedral looks as before, a striking landmark acting as a symbol of faith for people who have no idea that vampires exist in their midst. For them, questions of faith and myth are theoretical or philosophical. For you, those same questions suddenly define the meaning of your new existence. You sneak into the cathedral like an old hand, as if your going to church had been a regular part of your life. I thought it was established that I went to church.
Not that I remember, but I don't remember anything.
Inside, the cathedral is almost deserted, even though it's like just after sunset. Seems weird. You're not sure if you'll be meeting Benoit alone. The idea of feeling Father Anthony's faith on your undead flesh freezes you with terror. Benoit is waiting for you in the front pews of the cathedral, in the exact same spot where you saw Father Anthony. Worried, you approach, but you don't feel the touch of faith that shook you before. Benoit nods as you sit next to him in the pew. I thought about our last meeting. There are so many questions, and I'm not sure where I can find the answers.
I can tell you some things, but you'll grow dissatisfied with me and want to find answers on your own. That quest will never end. You've had some time to think. I'm guessing you found the touch of Father Anthony's faith hard to ignore. For most people, God's presence is a question of faith. When I talk with Father Anthony, it feels like proof.
Benoit is fervent, intense as he speaks. It's clear these questions have consumed his existence. Perhaps they'll consume yours too? What do the Kindred of the Camarilla believe? The old ones.
It's true the elders are not always so good at teaching their children. Maybe the Camarilla would function better if we all knew these stories. Elder, noun.
A vampire who has experienced at least 2 or more centuries of unlife. Elders are the most active participants in the Jihad, the secret, self-destructive war waged between the ancient undead. Elder vampires tend to manipulate their lesserkin, using them as pawns in a terrible game, the rules of which defy comprehension. Benoit looks around reflexively to make sure nobody is listening. There are only a few people in the enormous cathedral, and they don't seem to be interested in 2 loners murmuring to each other in the front pew. Loners? Why are we loners?
It might seem like ancient history, things that happened thousands of years ago, but time works differently for our kind. If the stories are true, there are Methuselahs still in existence who walked the earth when Jesus was alive. Methuselah, noun.
A vampire who has existed for a millennium or more. An elder who no longer participates in kindred society. Methuselahs are rumored to hail from the 4th and 5th generations.
The only problem is that old vampires lie. They adjust history to suit their egos. Why is he smoking in a cathedral?
Yeah, dude. Surely something was written down before the masquerade was established?
Of course. The Tremere have many interesting manuscripts in their libraries. I've seen a few. If you have the chance, I'd recommend looking at them.
Oh man, does this mean we have to go up to the Tremere?
Yay! Have you been in Malkavians yet? One or two? No. This is how the story goes. God cursed Cain as punishment for the murder of Abel. Cain walked the night, shunned by humanity, and drank the blood to sustain himself. Even from the point of our origin, we are damned. However, the story becomes really interesting when we move forward. Cain creates more of our kind, often referred to as the second generation. Generation, noun.
The number of steps between a vampire and the mythical Cain. How far descended from the first a given vampire is. Low generation provides great power, just as it does a stronger curse and hunger. I don't know why hunger is capitalized, but power and curse
That's like
is
a
not.
key term, It's branding. They lived in the first city, later called Enoch, ruling openly over the city's human inhabitants. I see the first city as Cain's redemption, cursed by God to wander. He remade himself as a ruler and lawgiver, acting as an immortal shepherd to humanity.
What a nice guy!
Yeah. It only started to go wrong when the second generation begat the third and vampires started to run amok.
Those damn third generationers! So the third generation...
Also known as the Antediluvians, who founded the great vampire clans. You can trace a direct lineage of blood to the Antediluvian of your clan.
See, this is interesting to me because this is lore that I'm sure everyone who's played the game knows, but we didn't learn this in Bloodline, so we're like learning new things now.
Well, I think the terms came up, but
yeah,
not in a great way.
they weren't explained.
Antediluvians, noun.
The progenitors, members of the dreaded third generation, and the founder of the 13 vampire clans.
We know much more about them than we know about the second generation. After the first city, Cain largely departs the story. Perhaps he was disheartened by the depredations of his descendants. The Antediluvians went on to build the second city in the imitation of the first, but it's doubtful the rule was just.
There are people moving in the cathedral. Both you and Benoit have made sure none get close enough to hear you talk. Many of the people you've seen have been elderly or disabled, so it's not surprising that you hear the squeak of a wheelchair. What alarms you more is that you overhear an older woman speaking with a Russian accent mention Father Anthony. That's an older woman? She looks young and hot to me. She looks younger than I do.
A lot more poorly drawn than the rest of them.
Let's find Father Anthony and see if he can help us. From what I've heard, he is an exceptional man. You turn and look, see two men and a woman. All three are in their 50s, clearly well worn by life. One of the men pushes the woman in a wheelchair.
Rude.
She is dark-haired and intense, seemingly only half in this world.
Yeah, exceptional. But he doesn't like moles.
The speaker is shorter of the men, more animated and worried. He was probably a strong man in his youth, perhaps even an athlete. His voice carries a Midwestern accent. Oh, oops. Sorry, he was Midwestern.
I had him pegged.
We are only interested in whether he likes blank bodies. What? Blank bodies?
I guess this is a term we have not learned.
You and Benoit look at each other. This is bad news. Whoever these three are, they can't be good for you. Why?
No.
Because of Father Anthony?
We need to get out. Let's meet outside.
Better not to call attention to yourself. You decide to move to the side of the cathedral and pretend to pray at an altar. You walk casually towards the side, away from the three approaching mortals. You feel their eyes boring into your back, but you force yourself to be cool. Benoit is nowhere to be seen. You blinked and he disappeared in a burst of speed. Oh, he must be a Toreador. Because he has celerity. You're worried it was too conspicuous, but maybe the mortals missed it. You pretend to admire the architecture for a while before glancing back at the trio. They've settled at the exact spot you just occupied, apparently waiting for someone and conversing in hushed tones. Once you're sure their attention is elsewhere, you start walking briskly down the side aisle towards the exit.
That was a close call. Damn.
Fuck you, Benoit! Who were those three? Did you recognize them?
I might have. I'm not sure. There's talk of a few tenacious vampire hunters living in the city. One of them is supposed to be a woman in a wheelchair.
Well, look, there she is.
Whelp.
Weirdly hot despite being elderly. It's gotta be a vampire hunter. For a second, Benoit looks at you as if he was wondering whether he should say something.
There's one thing I've always wondered about the story of Cain. The traditions of the Camarilla put a lot of faith in the relationship between sire and child.
I wonder why sire is capitalized but child is not.
You're supposed to follow the example of your maker, yet Cain didn't really seem to care for the vampires he embraced. Do you think it was a mistake to create our kind?
My sire left me. Is that common among kindred?
Yeah, unfortunately. The kindred are selfish and cruel. You know, I'm Sophie's child and you're her protege.
Did we know that?
Nope.
I don't think we knew that.
It's amazing that we share an appreciation for the mythologies of our kind, considering Sophie has little interest in questions of the spirit.
That explains that he is a Toreador, and that's how he used celerity.
At least you know we can be trusted, ish.
You stare at Benoit. You knew there was something he wasn't telling you, but in all the talk about Cain and the First City, you forgot about it. Now, the only question is, what does this mean? Does Sophie know her child is talking to you? Probably not.
Don't hold it against me, but I admit finding some pleasure in seeing you suffer the effects of Father Anthony's faith. I suppose that's the demon in me.
I understand that you're bitter, Benoit. I'm not your enemy.
I'm sorry. I know that. It's just that sometimes I get too tempted by sin.
No. Kinky.
You know, we should meet again. We've talked so much about myth, but maybe that's cowardly when the reality of faith is right in front of us. I'll introduce you to Father Anthony.
I don't know if I'm interested in that. You nod, unsure whether that's a good idea. Benoit walks away and you follow his example, not wanting to hang around the cathedral any longer.
Why would you agree to meet Father Anthony, who scares the living daylights out of you and burns your flesh?
Yeah.
We got half the night left,
So we could go up to the Tremere and look in their libraries, but as we've been told, we really don't have time to court two of these guys.
Yeah. I think we should go back to the...
Tamiko, because we haven't really done anything with her yet.
Yeah.
Upon returning to your haven, you find a small scrap of paper lying on your windowsill. Need a favor. If you're still up for it, come meet me in Prospect. Tab. Once again, you cross the gate of Prospect Park and head straight for where you last saw the feral duo. Minutes pass. Finding no sign of Tamika, you begin to worry that something might have happened to her. Suddenly, you hear rustling coming from the nearby bushes. It's not a stray cat kind of rustling either. Hey, you in the bushes. You know I can hear you, right? The rustling stops, if only for a second. Suddenly, the bushes part and Raoul walks out, desperately trying to look confident.
Yeah, that's only because I wanted you to. Listen, I wanted to have a word before Tam gets here. She seems to like you for whatever strange reason, but the way I see it, you're a nuisance at best. At worst, you're a threat.
I get it. You don't like me. Forgive me if I don't lose any sleep over it.
You should be. Because when I don't like someone, I do something about it. And it's usually not pleasant. Tamika is my sister in every sense of the word that counts. Anything happens to her that I find even remotely your fault, I'm coming after you. Is that clear? Crystal, no, fuck off.
I'm not your enemy. Or Tamika's.
I don't think you understand. I don't give a fuck what you think you are. What I'm saying is, if anything happens to Tamika, I'm holding you accountable.
All of a sudden, the sound of footsteps reaches your ears. It's just faint enough to not be ostentatious, but so loud enough to hear. You can tell that whoever's approaching wants to make their presence known. Both you and Raoul turn just in time to see Tamika emerge from behind an old sycamore tree. It's hard to tell just how long she's been listening in on your conversation. In any case, she walks up and speaks, addressing no one in particular. Did I miss anything? Your brother's worried about you. He seems to think I'm a bad influence. Oh. In an instant, her voice goes from mockingly sweet to stern and unyielding. Her next words sound like a challenge. Is that true, Raoul? You think I can't take care of myself?
God damn it, Tam. This is not what this is about, and you know it.
I know, big brother. You meant well. You always mean well.
Screw it. Why do I even bother?
With that, Raoul takes his leave. Tamika waits in silence, just long enough to make sure he can no longer hear her, and addresses you. I have a favor to ask. Okay, what is it? I have an errand to run. I was hoping you would come with me. There is a place east of here. It is a short walk. We should be back in about 2, maybe 3 hours. 3 hours, huh? You call that a short walk? Sorry. I am used to much longer distances than that. I forget, not everyone is. You think you can handle it? You're being awfully mysterious. Can't you just tell me what this is about? It's a private matter. I'll explain later. It's nothing shady, I promise. And so you head toward the parking lot, accompanied by Tamika and a lot of unanswered questions. Following Tamika's directions, you finally arrive at the Evergreen Cemetery, one of the oldest burying grounds in Brooklyn.
Have you been there?
No, we went to Greenwood Cemetery. I love that we're going to a cemetery. That's really sexy.
I like
This
the
is
willow
a-
tree.
Great first date, Tamika. 10-10.
10.
You enter through the southwestern gate and follow your companion through a sea of tombstones. Hot. It's a nice enough place as far as graveyards go, much less homogenized than the usual flat field litter with identical markers. Tamika confidently presses on, swerving and weaving along a pre-programmed path. It's clear that she's been here more than a few times. Finally, she makes a sharp left and takes a few more steps down a gravel walkway, coming to a sudden stop in front of a modest headstone. The inscription reads, Luca Santiago, beloved sister and daughter. Born 1991, taken from us too soon. With her eyes fixed on the grave site, she lets out an absent-minded utterance. I need a moment alone. Not long. 5 minutes at the most. Look around in search of a good spot to wait for her and pass the time. At the far end of a nearby lawn, you notice a lone bench situated under a weeping willow. Suddenly, you hear voices. Distant, but slowly approaching. Judging by the tone and timbre, you're guessing it's a couple of teenagers out to get their late-night kicks among the dearly departed. Might be a good chance to feed. Then again, you could just pass the time walking around the area. It's actually quite nice in a dark, somber kind of way.
Yeah. If they were alone, I would say yes. But if there's more than one, it's too risky. Especially when you're trying to, like, help.
And I'm not hungry yet either. Like, I'm not
Yeah, if
getting...
you're hungry, do it, but not, yeah.
I'll take a walk. I guess I'll just take a walk. Don't take too long. She throws you a razor-sharp glare. Yeah, like I said, 5 minutes. You spend a few minutes walking around, taking the sights and reading the various inscriptions on some of the older headstones. Finally, you get back to the tree and find Tamika sitting on the bench. Without a word, you sit next to her. You look over to her, doing your best not to stare. She looks down, crossing her arms and putting her hands on her shoulders. In an instant, the ferocious savage disappears, replaced by a vulnerable young woman. I think I'm done. Luca, huh? So, who was she? A sister and a friend. Sorry, I'm being monosyllabic again, aren't I? She looks away. You can tell she's struggling to open up to you, so you remain silent, trying not to make her uncomfortable. I was embraced not far from here, in this cemetery, a fitting spot, I suppose. It was close to a decade ago. I'd been on the road for a couple of years at that point, hitchhiking from one town to another. New York was supposed to be just another stop. And then I met Jezebel. She was strong, smart, independent, seemed like someone I could trust, someone I could get close to. She never made me feel inadequate or ashamed, and she could hold her own in a feast fight too. Funny thing though, she only wanted to meet during nighttime. I didn't think much of it. Even came up with excuses for her, busy, eccentric, whatever worked. Until one night, she sank her teeth into my neck. You keep using the past tense. I take it she's no longer around? She's not dead, if that's what you're asking. At least not that I know of. She left soon after telling me. I think the Conclave of Prague really shook her up. Wait, the Conclave of what now? Prague. It's a city in Central Europe. It was supposed to be neutral ground, a good place to discuss politics and strategy. It ended up almost turning into a civil war. Next thing you know, the Anarchs were expunged from the Camarilla. All they had done for our kind, the blood they spilled, it didn't amount to a thing. I can't blame Jezebel for feeling betrayed. But yeah, even though I still had Raoul and Luca, I was still furious and terrified. Luca died a few years later. Operation Lights Out, they called it. It was a coordinated assault by the Second Inquisition, a genocide by any other name. The family got together, bought up a plot, buried an empty casket. I guess they wanted some closure. Can't fault them for that. Even though she's not really here, I'd like to come and visit from time to time. Reminds me of who I am. Keeps me in check. Keeps the beast at bay. Also, this being the place of my embrace, you have to appreciate that level of irony. She straightens up and looks at you as if something just occurred to her. I like that we're having like girl talk. Yeah. Like a girl talk moment. I like this. Sorry. I don't know what came over me. 1 minute I'm all grunts and stares, and next I'm giving you my biography. Guess I'm just tired of being a scared, alone. You don't have to be alone. I used to think so, but those were simpler times. At this point, I'm just looking for something to believe in. Someone I could give a damn about. Yeah, what about Raoul? That's what I'm wondering. Why is she talking like he doesn't matter? He obviously cares about her, right? You'll always have Raoul? She smiles sadly. Will I? Don't get me wrong. Raoul is my brother. The bond between us is not easily broken. But he's got ideas and ambitions of his own. He won't always be there to watch my back. I can't expect that of him. You open your mouth, but before you can make a sound, Tamika motions at you to keep quiet. She lifts her hand and sniffs the air. Her ears perk up and her eyes widen. Suddenly, she pushes you with all her strength, sending you flying off the bench. Before you even hit the ground, an immense shape flies into view and smashes down into the bench, splintering it to pieces. With the blood surging through your veins, you pounce to your feet. You look at the mass of fur and muscles that just nearly pulverize you. The creature rears its head and gives you a deranged stare. It then turns to Tamika. She seems utterly terrified, frozen in place, as if she literally just saw a ghost. You notice the creature shift its weight as if preparing to pounce. I'm going to use my discipline because this sounds like an important moment.
That's what I would do.
Feeling your body strengthen with inhuman resilience, you jump in front of the beastly assailant, breaking the force of his attack. Still, the sheer weight of the creature slams you to the ground. If it wasn't for your supernatural endurance, you're pretty sure your spine would turn to powder. Suddenly, the beast lets out a pained roar. In a flash of consciousness, you see Tamika hunched atop the monster's shoulders, her claws plunged into its eye sockets. Floundering like a fish out of water, the monster finally manages to shake the feral Valkyrie off its back. The creature then turns toward you. For a second or two, it moves its mouth awkwardly, as if trying to remember how to form words.
Stay out my ground.
The creature runs off towards a nearby clearing when all of a sudden a gunshot sends it tumbling to the ground. A group of well-armed men in body armor emerge from the shadows in an orderly formation and move in closer around the creature. I'm gonna hide, because if these are vampire hunters, I don't want them to find me. Not sure what to make of what's happening. You figure it's best to get out of sight. As you start backing away into nearby bushes, you notice Tamika following your lead. From the relative safety of the thick foliage, you watch in silence as the group of armed men subdue the creature using steel nets and cattle prods. In the corner of your eye, you catch Tamika looking away, as if she finds the whole spectacle somehow distasteful. She speaks under her breath, her voice shaking. Can we get out of here? You see no reason to object. The walk back turns out to be quiet and somber experience. You both walk in silence, the city a blur of lights and cars careening by. You look over to Tamika. She seems lost in her thoughts. Finally, you decide to break the silence. What the hell was that back there? A werewolf? No. If it were, we probably wouldn't be talking right now. Still, in a way, that might have been preferable. She rubs her temples, trying to collect her thoughts. Among those of my clan, we tell stories about Discard One. The Scarred One. That's the only name he's known by. He's a cautionary tale for young Gingrel. He's what happens when you let the beast take over. I always figured him to be more of a metaphor. Seeing him in real life, it's like if a Christian just happened to run into Judas Iscariot one day, and seeing him hunted down by the SI, I don't know what to think. I don't even know where to start thinking. Deciding to give her some space, you spend the rest of the walk in silence. So I can't ask her if she's okay now? Soon enough, the familiar tree line of Prospect Park comes into view. You stop by the entrance nearest to Tamika's haven. She keeps walking without so much as a word or a glance in your direction. She stops after several paces and turns back toward you. I'm sorry. Thank you for coming with me, but now I have a lot of shit to figure out. Once I do, I'll let you know. With that, she disappears among the trees. Seeing no point in sticking around, you take your leave.
Shoop. That was exciting.
Yeah, well, it's time to rest again.
Indeed.
We've been playing for about an hour. So, here's my question.
No.
After we rest next time, do we go back to this guy? Do we go see what the hell this thing is? We've decided not to do the Malkavan and not to do the Tremere. So, unless I'm entirely wrong about that advice that everyone else is giving me, let me know.
I think we're okay. I think we're correct to focus, but this
But I
guy
feel like
seems
we
like a bonus mission.
I feel like we shouldn't do this guy until Sophie actually tells us about it.
No, you're taking initiative. She'll be thankful. It's like getting rid of the paparazzi, you know?
I mean, at this point, I'm thinking going to this guy next makes the most sense. But, however, once I click rest, new options may appear.
It's true.
No, let's click it and see what happens. Might take us back to our haven, in which case we'll have like a whole
Yeah.
cutscene. Yeah, okay. So, we will come back next time to Kadira Alasami, the sheriff of New York City, knocking at the door of our haven.
Dun, dun, dun.
What could he want? I hope we develop our relationship because I think he and I really could be good friends.
You think? Yeah, you do seem to make friends with just about everybody you meet.
No, I think Kadir and I have that like special first night bond, like that sort of hate at first sight to frenemies.
He's literally the first person you saw.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how romances usually go, right?
Yeah, first guy you see.
True love.
True love.
Though Tamika was like opening up to me. You know, I noticed that the female characters are a lot more emotionally vulnerable in this than the male characters are. Most of the male characters in this are very like machismo, very much like feelings are for girls.
That toxic blood.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Benoit's kind of open. And maybe the Primogen of the whatchamacallits,
Oh,
Thin Bloods.
Yeah.
Though he was still kind of like grumpy.
Yeah, he seems
But like
just
Tamika was just like instant gal pals.
Yeah, Tamika's my favorite so far. I like her.
Yeah, I like that she was like friendly to us. I wish after I said what about Ral, I would have still had the chance to say what about me. Like that's where I would have gone with that next. It
Yeah,
didn't
but that
give me
seems
the
kind of
option.
egotistical.
No, but that's how we're supposed to form the coterie, right?
Yeah, I know. But
I'm
it seems,
gonna be your
to me,
friend.
it's like it seems to try hard.
But I'm supposed to be trying hard. I'm a
Yeah.
corporate letter suck up.
Yeah, but you're dealing with like a gangrel.
Huh. Did I miss a good opportunity by not saying what about me? Will I get another chance to say what about me? These are my questions. I know I'm about to find out some more story. Hey, it's my own life. I can do what I want to. But after whatever we're about to find out, unless it leads us into something direct, I'm thinking going back to the Nosferatu coterie buddy.
All right, so Nosferatu or the paparazzi guy, you decide, and then we'll decide.
That's not what I said at all.
Isn't it?
No.
Oh, that was my decision.
Yes. Clearly. That's okay. Are you on Team Paul or Team Elisa? Vote
wait.
now.
No, they're on your channel. This is gonna be like an 85-50
Feud.
split. What? No.
Couples
no.
Let's Play feud.
We didn't make pins. How are they gonna vote?
I just need some hashtag engagement on my hashtag channel.
So we're making hashtag content, you guys. Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah. Join my Patreon.
Actually, no. Actually, go join that Patreon. That's a good idea. Hashtag Patreon.
This video was funded by Patreon. It's true. You
Brought
have
to you
them
by
to thank.
Squarespace.
If you didn't know, Squarespace didn't give me a dime, but Patreon did. So, even if you don't join my Patreon, you should be thankful to my Patreon is the point I'm trying to make. Because,
Yeah, you kind of owe the people who
right?
are on Patreon.
You're getting these hours of free entertainment on the YouTubes thanks to my 300 patrons. So, go thank those 300.
They're the cool kids.
They are. They really are. Love them. Love them. They're my besties.
All right. We've guilt tripped to Lenov.
I just want to show my proper appreciation. I feel like my
It
patrons
doesn't feel like we're giving like more appreciation more to the patrons than we are like shaming those who are not patrons.
That's just your like paranoia insecurity talking.
Probably is.
Yeah.
I have a rejection complex.
But I love you.
Thank you. As long as you never reject me, I'll love you too.
On that note,
Blah.
good night.